Hey everybody, welcome back to Media Chatter. We have what I consider to be a very special episode tonight because I'm very excited about this show. I know that my co-hosts are not necessarily as excited about this show, but we will get to that in a few minutes. I'm Eric and I am joined tonight by Lou and Robin. Robin, I wasn't sure whether you were going to be here tonight or not because a little birdie told me, and we won't mention Lou's name, we're going to keep it anonymous, but a little birdie told me.
Nope, he lied. Don't worry about it.
So you're not ill.
I'm here.
You're feeling okay. Okay. Your husband, however, Tim
Yes.
from RandomChatter, Force Chatter,
He's a little under the weather.
Well, you know, he needs to get on top of the weather. Much better place to be.
He is working on that.
Well, that's good. As long as he's working on it. And he is safe for all those who are wondering. I don't think anyone's wondering yet. I don't think he's been gone that long, but Robin, we're glad that you are doing well. Lou, how are you doing?
And I worked out.
And you
today,
worked out today.
Wow.
Sorry, Lou.
You're ahead of me.
Lou.
I haven't worked out in days.
I haven't either. I worked. I didn't work out. I worked in.
I worked out of the house.
That's a form of working out.
Ooh,
Right.
And did it work out?
sort of.
Yeah, I suppose.
Double whammy. It's like it
There it is.
I'll take
It was
it.
all meant to be.
Yeah. So today we are going to be covering Upload. This is a series that is on Amazon Prime Video. For all of you people out there with Amazon Prime, you have free access to this show. And so we're going to be breaking this down for you today. Now, season 1 has been out for, I think, a little over a year now.
Yeah, it came out in May of 2020.
May of 2020, so 2 years. I was going to say it felt like a really long time. This is one of the early pandemic releases, yeah. But we just got season 2 a couple of weeks ago, and I'm very sad I binged through it way too fast. But we're going to talk a little bit about this. Lou, why don't you give us your first impressions of Upload? We're going to talk probably primarily season 1. And we're going to touch a little bit on season 2. We're going to try to keep this relatively spoiler-free. And we'll give spoiler warnings before we talk about anything really spoilerish. But Lou, what's your impression of Upload?
So when I first watched this when it came out a year ago, I was very impressed with it. I thought it was unique and fun. It had some comedy to it. It had some high-tech stuff to it. A little bit of sci-fi aspect to it. And yet they didn't take anything very seriously, so it was kind of fun.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. Robin, what are your thoughts on Upload?
Well, I binged season 2 because that's.
I'm glad.
Well, I thought we were, and
But
so
you remember season 1, right?
Well, yes, of course. Season 1 was not my favorite show. So it was kind of long. It was a very long season.
Lou, how many episodes was season 1?
10.
2010.
I wish it was
10 episodes.
10 short episodes.
2000.
And it felt that long to you, huh?
Well, here's the thing. It felt very repetitive, like they were telling the same story every single.
Are you sure you were just watching the same episode too many times?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, did you watch the first episode all the time?
I mean, it was the beginning of the pandemic. I was in the war room at the college for a long time, but no, I watched it.
I mean, I thought the first season progressed through a pretty logical pathway, I guess.
Yes, but the episode started with, 2 of the characters, wondering whether they were or they weren't. And
the romance thing. That's why it felt long to her.
No, it's not just that. It was
every she's not a romance fan. Yeah.
No. Every single character had a do we, are we, will we, won't we, and just gets a little boring for me. And so when I see that story repeated for a bunch of
I don't get what story you're talking
over.
about, though. I'm missing something here.
Yeah, I'm with
Lou.
Lou.
He said we can't do spoilers. So I mean, if you think about the...
we should introduce the show first.
I mean, are we doing...
We'll introduce the show first. We'll talk a little bit about the show, what it is. And then we will break down Robin's erroneous, what would you call it, Lou?
Wow.
Erroneosity?
Yeah, sure.
It is now.
That's not even a word. You can't say it.
It's like embiggen. As long as you say it on what The Simpsons, it becomes a word. So
there you go. Yeah.
Just got to get The Simpsons to say it. Erroneosity. So upload is about, it's set in the near future. And when you die, your consciousness can be uploaded into a computer system, like a server farm.
Yeah, a virtual afterlife.
Virtual afterlife, owned by different corporations.
Yeah, right.
Which we'll come back to. And so this series focuses on Robbie Amell's character, Nathan. Robbie Amell is, I think he's Stephen Amell's cousin. So Stephen Amell plays the lead character on Arrow. Robbie Amell plays a recurring side character on the show. And they've each done a few other things. But Robbie Amell plays the lead. And his character dies. This is not a spoiler at all. His character dies early in the first episode. Vehicle accident. Self-driving vehicle accident. And so he gets uploaded to the afterlife. Kind of accidentally. And his really, really ridiculously rich girlfriend, who he's not necessarily all that attached to in the first place, decided to upload him to the afterlife where her family has purchased property, real estate.
Whatever they have an unlimited data plan.
Yeah, unlimited data plan.
With Horizon.
And so he gets uploaded there. And so we're kind of going through this. And people in the afterlife can interact via video call, things like that, with people in the real world. And there's a customer service hotline for the people who are in the afterlife. If you have any issues, you call on your, quote, angel, who shows up and takes care of things for you. And so he kind of starts getting a little bit attached to his customer service angel. There are things happening in the real world. You discover that his death may or may not have been accidental. There may be some other circumstances going on with various different things, and the plot kind of goes from there.
Before you get into the plot of what's going on with him and his character and the potential nefarious acts going on and so forth, I mean, I thought the initial premise of this digital afterlife that is owned by corporations, and think of your worst online experience in any service platform you've been on that is subsidized with paid advertisements that pop up everywhere. Think about that in your virtual digital afterlife when you're there and all of a sudden there's a pop-up guy in front of you selling Orbit's gum or something.
Yeah, every time you go up the stairs out of the lobby of this big luxury hotel thing where you live, would you like some Orbit's gum?
It's insane when you think about that. And that's what was, I thought, compelling when I first watched this. And it got a little tiresome after a while because they didn't change it up enough to make it interesting, I thought.
Don't smile like that, Robin. I saw that smile. I saw that. Didn't realize I had my microphone muted there for a second. Yeah, it's that's one of the things I like about this show, right? Is there are a lot of different themes going on here. And I want to hop right into that real quick. The cast, though, we've got Robbie Amell. We've got Andy Allo, who plays Nora. That's the customer service angel. Allegra Edwards plays Ingrid, his girlfriend / not quite fiance. I don't remember what the status of that is.
No, just girlfriend. They weren't engaged. Yeah.
None of the other actors or actresses are really going to stand out as people you would probably know from somewhere. The what's the guy's name? I'm looking at IMDb here from the X-Files.
Choke.
Yeah, that's the character's name, Choke, the cigarette smoking man from X-Files, but I don't remember the actor's name, but he's in it as well. So one of the things I like about this show is
William B. Davis.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. There are a lot of themes explored in this, and it's one of the reasons I like shows or movies like The Matrix. You've got a good sci-fi movie, but then underneath you've got themes of duality and simulation theory and you know, what is real and what isn't, and things like that. And this kind of reflects that a lot. So again, you have simulation theory to some extent. You have what is the nature of what makes something real or not. You have quality of life. You know, what is it you need in order for your life to be meaningful? You have the concept of life after death and the concept of an afterlife at all, and what it means to have an afterlife, and what happens to you if there is no afterlife. So you've got some not specific religious themes, but very vague, zoomed out theological themes about, you know, again, the nature of life and death. Immortality and the pursuit of immortality, coping with the loss of family members. You have issues regarding relationships where one person's really invested and the other one is not. And they explore that quite a bit. You've got kind of the Romeo and Juliet kind of thing where the two people can't really be together because of circumstances, but they want to be. You've got kind of the professional / client relationships and when do those boundaries get crossed and what kind of implications does that have? You've got the nature of VR / AR, virtual reality / augmented reality, and that uncanny valley thing of at what point is it real enough, and at one point does it not work? Like when you look out on the lake and it looks beautiful and you look a little closer and the waves on the water are like a repeating GIF file, you know, things like that. You've got the idea of mindfulness and perspective. You've got the effectiveness or lack thereof of therapy. And I love how they included pets in the therapy sessions. That was cool.
But there's also the whole class structure here in the haves and the have-nots, and that was a huge thing in this. I thought that if you could afford it, you could get anything you wanted to. If you couldn't afford it, well, we don't care for you.
You get 2 gigs a month, and then once that runs out, you're literally frozen until the next month. And then that's if you can upload it all, and some people can't. And it turns out that this lead character was working on something along those lines professionally before he died. So back to what you were saying, Lou, you have the idea of advertising and the ubiquity of advertising and microtransactions and things like that. And ad bots, like literal ad bots in heaven of all places. Corporate ubiquity, like Panera buys Facebook, and Eon, Oscar Mayer buys Intel. L'Oreal owns Horizon. Just like some weird things with corporations buying up like everything around them. Then you've got the idea of automation and tech and self-driving cars and really bad voice assistant technology and 3D printed food replicators, taco drones that deliver you tacos. I'm actually okay with that one.
Which is not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I get behind that one.
Not 100%. At all. There are a lot of different themes going on here. And I think that normally when you get into a show or a movie that tries to do too many things at once, it gets sloppy. And I didn't feel like this was sloppy. I felt like it really brought all of those things into a way that felt really tangible and real and relevant. And it addressed a lot of those things. Even if it didn't have answers for all of it, it presented what a hurdle that becomes in our day-to-day lives. And I really loved this show for that. I'm going to stop talking for a minute, though, because I know that was really long-winded. Robin, do you have any thoughts on that sort of...
I think she's in 2 gigs. She's frozen. She's not moving at all.
No, she's moving around. I can see her, her grimacing a little bit. I know she was not as much of a fan as we are.
No, and for all of those reasons, I cannot let go and suspend disbelief when my reality is right. Like, I know I chose to watch this show. I would have chosen not to had we not been recording on it in our previous show. I was convinced to watch it back then, and guess I was convinced to watch it again, but it's sort of like opening the door and looking outside. I tend to like to watch, especially comedies, to sort of distance myself. And so it's not a show that I would pick up to watch. I watched it. And it is all of that you said, not very deep, pretty much caricature and caricaturized. If we could get the Simpsons to say that, that'd be great. But and that's it. That it sort of fell and laid there for me. Yeah. But I do think the acting is quite interesting.
There was almost a compliment there, and then that it went to interesting.
No, I'm not going to say.
It's like when your coworker walks in. Oh, you look very interesting today.
Interesting. Well, it's if anything, I could say that the acting is good. They're not going to win Emmys but and the writing for what it is quite witty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate that attempt to say some good things about it. I will say that I did not find the humor in the first episode very good. In fact, when I watched the first episode, I was about to drop the series entirely, especially at the bathroom scene. And if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And if not, you'll find out. But I feel like after that, it got better. I feel like the humor was funny enough. I felt like it was lighthearted enough and fluffy enough to be able to handle some more serious topics without it being emotionally draining. I never really felt like it got too emotionally heavy, despite dealing with some themes that inherently are a bit heavier. I thought the acting was good. I agree with you. It's not going to win any awards, but I thought it was like, even when you say perfectly fine, it kind of comes across like, oh, not that interesting. I thought it was good. Like, it was solid. It did exactly what it needed to do. Is it going to win awards? No. Was it distracting? Was there anybody who I felt was bad? No. Well, I mean, there's one character where I don't care that much for the actor, and I won't even get into it because I think it's just a personal thing. But no, I thought the performances were good. I thought the writing overall was good. There were couple of little things here there that could have been better, but I thought it was a fun show. Lou, what are your thoughts on some of this?
Well, when I first started out in this episode today, I mentioned when I first watched it, I enjoyed it, and I liked the comedy. I thought it was good and where it went. I rewatched the first season before the second season came out because I wanted to just make sure I was in the same place and knew where I was going. Yeah. And the second time through, the comedy was a little bit off for me. It was, I mean, I guess you'd say sophomoric, I guess. It wasn't quite where I thought it was when I watched it the first time for some reason. I'm not sure if it was just the fact that it was new and fresh when I watched it the first time, but
probably
some of the jokes kind of went, and then some of the stuff I didn't think that they didn't take it far enough. And maybe I'm kind of seeing what Robin was talking about a little bit before. The stuff like they were doing about like the ads and how everything was paid for and everything was, microtransactions in their digital afterlife. They didn't really pick that up and go with it far enough because I felt like it wasn't there all the time. It became like, oh yeah, we forgot to write this into this, let's throw one in here. You don't think that would have gotten in the way of the rest of the story, or you don't think that at some point it would have gotten preachy? I just think that if they're trying to make it that way, it would have been more in your face. And I don't know how you write that in a TV show without having it so annoying in the TV show that we just get fed up with it. But it seemed like it was like forgotten about, and all of a sudden, oh hey, it's been an episode since we talked about that. We should throw this in here now.
See, I actually like that because in my day-to-day life, I don't think about that kind of thing until I tell my Amazon voice assistant, whose name I'm not going to say right now, or she'll cut into the podcast yet again, hey, set a timer for 5 minutes. It says, okay, timer set for 5 minutes. Also, did you know you can buy a 12-pack of dust mops for $47 on Amazon Prime, free shipping tomorrow? I'm like, no, just stop.
Yeah.
So I don't think about those things until all of a sudden they pop out in front of me. And I kind of felt like that worked because it was more real.
But I kind of equate it to like any of the free games you get on either iOS or on your Android phone, where you download the game and you've got to watch through 14 or 15 different little segments to get back to the game, and you're like, oh, I'm done for now. It's like it should be so intrusive in that world that you get fed up with it.
I see your point. My only concern is I'm not sure how you could write that into the show without causing people to get so frustrated with the process of watching the show that they would get up and leave.
Yeah. No, and I see your point there with it too, but it's just, it seemed like it got so far away from that and they've forgotten about that it was like, okay, is it really a thing or not a thing?
Okay. And I don't feel like they ever forgot about it. I felt like, I see what you're saying though. And I can see where it does kind of feel like they didn't take it anywhere. I felt like they kind of included it in with the thread of the caste system or the class system, and that was part of the bigger overall thing that we saw at the very end of the season 1 finale, which I won't spoil. I felt like they addressed it on a little bit bigger scale and just not that zoomed in on that one topic. But I do see where there were things that I feel like they introduced, and if you didn't really, maybe I was too invested in this show, and so I kind of felt like certain things were dealt with in certain ways that were more subtle.
And I didn't see that myself until the second time through the first season.
Okay.
First time through it was fine. After I'm going, okay, you kind of look at it with the fine tooth comb the second time. You're like,
well, yeah, we're doing a podcast on it. I mean,
Yeah. But the other thing that it kind of got me towards the end when I'm thinking about this, I'm like, okay, so if they're all about the money, which hey, the purpose of a corporation is to make money for the shareholders, right? But why would there even be a 2 gig section? I mean, if you couldn't afford Horizon, they would just transfer your butt out and go somewhere else.
For the same reason that cell phone providers have prepaid plans and lower tier options. Quantity. Maybe. I'm speculating.
Yeah, it could be. But they're saying that 2 gig is the free account, right?
I don't think it's technically free, because otherwise there wouldn't be the what's it called, the Freeverse or whatever it is that the competitor. I don't think would exist.
The Freon thing would be something you'd want to do if you were, because you want to have a life. You don't want to just have 2 gigs and you spend 30 minutes there and you're done.
Right.
I don't know. But maybe I thought there was something they were talking about. That was a free thing. Yeah, because once, well, without spoiling it, but the characters that get there, they don't have any way of paying for anything, so they could put there.
Right. Yeah.
But, aside from that aspect of it, I still think the show, like everything you talked about before, all the different themes we're looking at are all very valid themes, and it touches on them in a way that doesn't make it so you're, oh, God, this is just so depressing.
Right.
It touched on it in a way that makes you think, oh, it's just thought-provoking.
Right. I really love the presentation of the show, because I feel like it wasn't a comedy per se, where it was either slapsticky or laugh track or sitcom or something like that. And yet it wasn't a drama in the sense that it was like constantly pulling at heartstrings or depressing you or trying to make people cry or pressing your emotional buttons. I felt like it was an easy watch, and yet didn't dumb things down to the point where there was no content there, where there was no meat. And I really liked that. And I kind of wish more shows would take this kind of approach. I think Well, I don't want to mention any other shows in case then those become negatively associated with this one. And if I might want to cover one on a podcast in the future, I don't want Robin making me do another musical.
He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't want. He doesn't
No,
want to trade
I can
him
only
favors to make me watch.
I can only take so
something
many
that I don't
musicals a decade, and yeah. So, Robin, I get your points on it, and I agree with some of them. They're valid, and maybe the show's not for everyone, but I think that a lot of our podcast audience will probably really like this show. And you did have some good things to say about it. So that's good. Real quick before we sign off, season 2. I typically never like a second season as well as a first season if I like the first season. Either I struggled through the first season and then things pick up in the second, or I love the first season and then the second is like, okay, we didn't think we were going to get renewed, and then we got renewed, and we're going to try to figure something out now. I don't think this was that bad. I did not like the second season as well as the first, but I thought the second season, once it picked up, which wasn't until about halfway through, I felt like it got more interesting in the second half.
Oh my God.
And she thinks the opposite, Lou. She liked the first part.
I got to the end of it,
and then she hated the second half
season, and I went, wait, there's only 7 episodes? What I want more.
Yeah,
where's the rest of this? You can't just end it there.
That was rough.
Yeah.
Robin, tell us about the second season.
Way better than the
really?
first season.
Tell us about it.
Oh, I agree. I think the second season was
really
better. I just wanted more of it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's talk. I mean, Bring it on.
So after watching, let Robin start because she's been very quiet.
Well, well, here's the thing. They corrected a lot of what they did wrong in the first season.
You imply they did. They did things wrong in the first season, Robin.
They corrected the things that seeed to turn me off and bore me.
Examples without spoilers?
They picked up the pace.
Fatmatic in the chat room saying no spoilers.
So the on again, off again, drama stuff between the male and female characters, they softened the edges of some of the more, let's just say, obnoxious characters. They softened those a little bit. They gave some of the AI characters a lot more depth than what they had in the first season. And while they gave us, yet another storyline, another universe, if you will, or a place at least to follow, they haven't hit me over the head with it yet. So the Luds, right? And so I get it. And I am more, they're giving me a lot more complexity to some of the stories. And I'm not going to say I wanted more, but they opened up a lot more avenues for it to go in season 3. And clearly there will be a season 3 because they didn't finish their story.
Mm-hmm.
Lou, you agree with all that?
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Okay. What is that noise? Right there.
I don't know.
Interesting. What do you guys need to fess up?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Lou, you hear it, right?
No.
Okay. I'm going to go back and look and see which of your audio feeds is this coming through, because this is humorous. It's funny.
I don't hear anything.
All right.
All right.
So I am very glad and a bit surprised that you guys both liked the second season better than the first, which means that the show is getting better.
Yeah.
And that's good. So, all right. Well, we're going to close things up there then. So once again, this is Upload. It's on Amazon Prime Video. Season 2 just dropped, I think the weekend before last. See, Fatmatic in the chat room, he heard it. Yeah, it's not my imagination.
Well, it doesn't describe what.
Yeah, and I don't know how to describe it. It's like one of those, you know, those old spring-loaded door stoppers in a house. You open the like bathroom door and it hits it, like the little kids, I'll take them and pull it back and it'll spring back. Twang. Yeah, it was like that, but more of like a clicky version of it. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna lose people here. Okay, so upload Amazon Prime Video. Season 2 just dropped. It's really good. 10 episodes you said in season 1, Lou, and like 7 or 8 in season 2. It's not gonna take you a really long time to get through. And it's not really super heavy. You can sit down and watch it. It almost doesn't matter what kind of mood you're in, and give it a couple of episodes to really sink in before you make a decision about whether it's for you or not. Like I said, the first episode almost lost me. And then once it got past that, it's one of my favorite shows of the last few years. So that's going to do it for this episode of Media Chatter. Now, next up, Robin had a recommendation that I'm almost finished with. Lou, I don't know how far through it you've gotten, and that is it In From the Cold?
Yes.
On Netflix. Maybe the Russia thing, the timing isn't great, but that's not something we had a lot of control over, and it doesn't take place in Russia. So,
no.
But it's on Netflix. It focuses on an undercover, basically like a Russian spy who kind of retired and is living an American life in the U.S. with her daughter and family and blah, blah, blah. And then she kind of gets like roped back into some things, and there's a little bit of kind of a sci-fi element to it at some point. And I won't say anything else about it past that, but I will say that I think Robin made a very good choice with this one. So go watch In From the Cold. We will be covering that next week, Monday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time here on Media Chatter. And otherwise, stay tuned. We will be back next week, Sunday night, for more Force Chatter and Random Chatter. So until then, take care.